High volume. High volume.
Come rewind it. Girl, I get the money if you make you mine. If you're loving every night, you make you mad. Now only you give me love and make me nice, nice, nice. I have to make you mine.
Girl, I love you, plus I never make you minus. If I let you smoke it, you gon' lose my lighter. If you paranoid, then I'ma spend the night.
You think that I love you every day.
Welcome back to my channel, Talking with Tuda Janae. As you all can see, I've been gone for a minute, but I am back at this moment. As I always say, I don't want to talk too long, and I don't want to hold y'all too long. So let's get into this video, you guys. So I want to let you guys watch this man's story time to bring awareness to SA. SA is not only happening to girls, it's also happening to boys, and he is one of them. At the age of 11, his own mother SA him. But anyway, I will be leaving his information in my description box so you all could go support him over there on TikTok. You all go over there, hit that follow button, comment in his comment section. Go over there and just support him because he needed. This story is very, very sad. And anybody who out there is getting an essay, it don't matter if you're a boy or a girl, please speak up. I don't care how much that person say they will hurt you. Please speak up. Do not hold that in for the rest of your life, because I am pretty sure that is traumatizing, trying to hold some stuff in that you've been knowing what's going on for a young age. I don't care how many people not listen to you. It always one person out the bunch will take you serious, will listen to you. Please go tell it. Don't be afraid. Please. And hopefully this man's story will encourage someone out there to be able to speak up and be brave to speak up. But I don't want to hold y'all too long, so let's get into this video. Drop a comment. Let me know what you all think about his story time.
A big trucking coming from the inside of the truck, you know. First I want to start off by just saying that thank you all for all your warm and heartfelt messages, you know, and replies to my last video. And it really made me feel like I'm moving forward in the right direction. Because I was debating whether to let my story out. And, you know, just because of, you know, the way people would look at you or try to characterize you. But I care more about getting my story out to reach those who feel like they can't express themselves or have to hide and not talk about things, you know. So let's begin, you know. So it all started when I was around 10 years old, and it lasted till I was damn near 12. You know, it started, you know, suddenly, you know, I didn't grow up with my mom, you know, in the beginning. You know, when I was younger, I stayed with my grandmother and my uncle, and you know, because my mother was always on drugs, and you know, she was on Ready Rock cocaine. So she was in and out of my life, and when I would see her, it was for short periods of time. But once I did go back to stay with her, I was around 10, you know, and I was sleeping in bed with her. And, you know, one day I was sleeping and I was woken up to my foot being placed on her private part. And I actually laid there, act like I was asleep, you know, didn't move. I didn't know what was going on. And I didn't realize what was really going on until I got an adult and was able to put two and two together. You know, she rubbed my foot on her private until she finished doing what she was doing. After all the moisture and everything that she left on my foot, she pushed it to the side and just left me there. And I continued to pretend like I was asleep to the next morning. We didn't talk about it. We didn't say anything. I act like nothing ever happened. And it proceeded on that way for a while till she started doing it while I was woke. And you know, at that time, you know, it was still my foot in her private part. And it didn't start to really having intercourse with me until I was about maybe 11 and close to 12, like 11 and a half is when she really started like having sex with me. And I can remember one particular incident to where we had sex in the morning, and I remember she was getting me dressed for school, and we went downstairs, walking down the steps, walking down the street. I was in the 5th grade, and she was taking me to elementary school. And I remember I said, "Ma," she said, "Yeah, Antoine." I said, "Ma, can we do what we did today when I get home?" And she said, "I think about it, Antoine, I think about it." And you know, me asking that question at that time to this day still bothers me, you know, because I felt as though that I asked for everything that happened to me. And, you know, at that age, I'm an 11 and a half. I'm feeling like, you know, I like this feeling. I never felt this before. This is my mama. Mama ain't going to do nothing to hurt me. This feel good. I like the way this feel. I like the way that I'm liking it. So I'm asking for more. Can we do it again, Ma? You know? And she said, "I think about it." So, you know, at that time, you know, I didn't know. I didn't really know what to do. You know, I was becoming a teenager, a preteen, and I remember my mother would begin to discipline me as a parent would do. And I didn't see a mother that was trying to discipline her child. I seen somebody that was taking advantage of me, and I couldn't protect myself before, but now I'm 11 and a half, about to be 12. I'm gonna protect myself. So me and my mom used to be fist fighting in the house. You know, you're not gonna. So I'm fighting her, trying to defend myself, far as you're not taking advantage of me no more. You're not gonna do this to me no more. I'm standing up for myself. You're not going to discipline me no more. None of that. You're not touching me no more. And I ran to my grandmother, and I told my grandmother, I said, "Grandma, Granny." Now, my grandma was my best friend, man. She raised me, taught me to be the man and the father that I am today. I said, "Granny, my mother been touching me and having sex with me." My grandmother told me, "Antoine, we don't talk about that type of stuff. You keep that to yourself. And Antoine, don't you tell nobody else. Don't tell nobody what you told me, okay?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I won't say nothing else. But she's not going to be putting her hands on me, Granny. She got to stop touching me." So my grandmother tried her best to keep everything together, man. So the sex didn't stop. None of that stuff stopped. And I remember I would be like, you keep touching me and beating me on me. I'ma tell what you did to me. And you know, she said what most predators say to people. Go ahead. Go ahead. Nobody gonna do nothing. Took all my power away from me. 11 and a half year old child. Took my power away from me. Told me to go ahead and tell. And I knew what she said would be true, because I told my grandmother, and she told me not to say nothing. So I didn't say anything to nobody. Felt as though it was my fault. I asked for this. That time I asked my mama, "Can we do this again?" It was my fault that I'm getting all this, getting treated like this. She getting high and beating me all in my head because her drugs was bad. All this was my fault. And I held that and I dealt with that, thinking what she was doing to me was just a normal thing, because nobody gonna protect me. Nobody gonna believe me. Granny said it. Keep it to myself. You know, and I kept it to myself, man. And it only stopped. It only stopped because she gave me a STD. Can you imagine being 11 and a half years old, walking into a doctor's office with green pus, yellow pus, blood coming out your penis? I was an 11-and-a-half-year-old child, man, dealing with stuff like that adults deal with. In pain, that she let me sit in pain for 2-3 days, suffering with that pain, scared to use the bathroom before I even go to the doctors, scared to pee because it hurted so bad for something I didn't ask for. So if anybody hearing this, I want to tell you, if anybody doing anything to you, mother, father, no matter how much you love them, you let it out. You tell. You don't keep stuff in. You don't. That's what they did in them old days. You don't keep that stuff in these days. You tell, and you tell fast. No matter who it is. Anybody listen to you, you tell. But I was told not to tell. And the part 2 of this video is going to be the aftermath of me going to the doctors and the things that I had to do to prevent her from going to jail. Because I love my mother. Like I said, I didn't get to be with her for long. And, you know, I wanted to be with my mom. I wanted that motherly love. But my mother is the first woman that hurt my heart. And my mother is the first woman that made me into the person I became when it came to treating women the way I treated them. So I hope that this part of my story reached you, and I hope that you can see the sincerity that's in my heart. And I hope that you understand that you're not alone and you can tell anybody that will listen to you. And I look forward to talking to you all on my next video. Stay tuned.
So you guys, I had to pause the video for a moment to speak on something. I really dislike how families always sweeping things under the rug, don't never want the family to expose anything. And it's just very sad how his own grandma told him, don't talk about this to nobody else. This stuff could have been nipped in the bud very soon, but his own grandma swept it under the rug like nothing ain't happened. Like I said, if there anybody out there who is getting it, say tell it. Tell it. Even if that one person don't listen, go to the next person. That next person don't listen, go to the next person. Because like I said, somebody have to listen. Somebody will believe you. And it is very sad how families always sweeping stuff under the rug. If you out there going through that today, break that cycle. Break the cycle. That cycle need to be broken. But let me let you all get back into the video.
My mom stole my virginity at the age of 11. So where we left off at was I had contracted STD. And so if you don't know how we got to this point, look back at my part 1 and it'll bring you up to speed of where we at today. So let's go. All right, so you know, the first day it just happened all of a sudden. Went to the bathroom and it hurted so bad, like it was a pain that's unimaginable. And I still can feel it to this day, because I never, thank God, never had it happen to me since, but I still remember that pain. And so I went and talked to my mother. I said, "Ma, it hurt when I pee." And she said, "What you mean it hurt when you pee? Let me see." So I took it out, and when she seen it, it was yellow, green, you know, and blood, you know, pus, you know, it's a little graphic, but yeah, it was all that going on. And she said, "All right, well, we're going to take care of it." And so I'm from Baltimore, and if you grew up on Baltimore Street between 95 and 96, or the early 90s, late 90s, whatever, you know, it was a store called 7 Days. And at the corner of that store, it was a carryout called Mr. Chicken. So they was owned by the same people. But 7 Days, they had a guy that worked at the front of the store, like protecting in case some of the kids were stealing stuff and all that. So he was fond of me. I don't remember his name, and I'm not going to make up a name, you know, just for the story, because it would be lying. So I'm not even going to make up a name. I'm just saying it was a man, because I don't remember his name. But my mom said, "That's a guy, that's a man, and I'm going to take you up there to see him, because he's a man, and I believe he'd be able to, you know, basically tell you what's going on with you." So we go up there to 7 Days, you know, and my mom said, yeah, Antoine having some problems. It hurt when he used the bathroom and this and that. He said, oh, yeah, what you mean? Let me see what's going on. So they take me to the back of the store, not no back room, but literally the back of the store where the canned goods and cereal and stuff was. And my mom told me to take it out, so I took it out. And he seen the discoloration of all the fluids that was coming out of there. And he said, oh, no, I don't know what that is. You need to take him to the doctors. And I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because my mom thought to take me to a dude, a man, a full-grown man, had me pull my stuff out to show him instead of take me to the doctors. But anyway, so we go back to the house. I'm in pain for the rest of that day to the next day. And then she sit there, I said, Ma, it hurt so bad, Ma. It hurt real bad. It hurt so bad. Like, I was really, like, in tears because the joint hurted so bad. So she said, all right, we're going to take you to the doctor. She said, you don't want to lose Mommy, right? And I want y'all to remember this. I want y'all to remember that I never lived with my mother long term. It was always, short stats, growing up. So, yeah, didn't want my mother to get in trouble. So my mom said, if you don't want me to go away, you need to tell them this. You don't want to lose me, right, Antoine? I said, no, Ma, I don't want to lose you. I don't want you to go to jail. No, Ma. Ma, I love you, Ma. Ma, I love you. I don't want you to go to jail, man. And when I tell y'all, man, all I was doing was looking for love, yo. A motherly love, but not that type of motherly love. So I didn't want her to get in trouble. So she came up with a story of, came up with a name, Crystal. And so she said, well, tell him the girl name was Crystal. She your age and y'all had sex. And even to the street, Fayette Street. He even gave me a building, but I couldn't remember the number. And I still can't remember the number to the day. So I'm not even going to lie about the number. But I know it was an abandoned house. It was an abandoned apartment complex. And she was like, tell them that you had sex with her. And that's the one who did this to you. That's who you got it from. And she said, we kept repeating it. We kept repeating it. We kept repeating it. And I said, all right, Ma. She said, because you don't want Mommy to go to jail, right? I said, no, Ma. I don't want you to go to jail. I love you, Ma. I love you. I want you to be here with me, And so we basically go down to University of Maryland, pediatrics. I explained to them what was going on. And they looking at me like the story I'm telling them don't make sense. And they said, how old are you? And I said, 11. It was a doctor and 2 nurses. And because the doctor couldn't even believe it, so the nurses, he had witnesses. And he was like, you 11? And I said, yes, sir. And he said, well, how old was Crystal? And I said, I think she's 11 to 12 too. And he said, really? Well, what's the address? And I told him the Fayette Street address. And I told him everything my mother told me to tell him. And I looked over at her, and she looked at me like keep on going, like you doing good, right? And so I stuck to the script. Yeah, the Crystal, she 11, 12, that's who gave it to me. And they said, well, we need the address, told them Fayette Street. And then they said, do you have a phone number for them? My mother gave them some type of fake, because it was landlines. Then it wasn't even no cell phones, I don't believe. Well, I don't remember if it was, but I doubt it. But a landline phone number. And and she gave him a fake landline number, and they kept asking me the story like 7, 8, 9, 10 times, and I kept telling them the same story, and they just couldn't believe it, man. But they took a Q-tip. It was a real long Q-tip, and they stuck it in the tip of my, privates. And that joint hurt it so bad, and they made me drink so much water so they can see what was going on. And it hurt it so bad, y'all. When I tell you that joint hurt it so bad. I can feel the pain right now as I'm speaking, telling you about this crazy mess. And so I told them, so they told me I tested positive for chlamydia and gonorrhea is what I had at the age of 11 and a half years old, man. And so the story worked. Never heard nothing back from them. I guess they went looking for Crystal at the time because And because they trying to figure out who is this little girl that's giving out STDs at the age of 11 or 12. They contacting the health department because this is unreal. You know, at that time it's unheard of having this stuff at this age, at 11 years old. So, you know, that after leaving there, my mother was nice to me for a little bit. You know, for a little bit she was nice to me, and we had like a little motherly bond, and you know what I was longing for. But then that's when the abuse started. She got off of drugs. That's when the physical abuse started. She got on the drugs. She might not have been doing drugs. She got off, but she still was abusing me physically. That didn't stop. I don't know if I reminded her of what she did to me or whatever, but she still was physically abusing me. And I remember she gave her life to the Lord. And we went to the childhood church that I grew up in. We sat in front of the pastor. And I believe she got tired of me, kept on throwing up every time she was trying to beat me. Got tired of me throwing up that I'm going to tell on you. I'm going to tell what you did to me. I think she got tired of that, and she figured if she went and talked to the pastor, that everything was going to be all right. It's already out in the open. So we go to talk to the pastor. She look at me like, tell him. Right? Still controlling me. Tell him. So I told him what she did to me, and, you know, the SA stuff. And the way he looked, it was like he started to cry himself. I started crying, and then my mother started crying and said she was so sorry. Now, y'all, I'm 11 and a half, 12, 13, whatever. Maybe 13. I was 13 when we talked to him. I don't really know what she was apologizing for until I got to an adult to really think back on it. But she apologized and she moved on with her life. The pastor told her don't do it again and not to touch me no more, and that was it, man. She moved on with her life, started serving the Lord and worshiping God, helping, you know, other people, you know, drug addicts and canceling them. Went on with her life, and I was still stuck to deal with whatever happened to me. You know, and that's going to be the next part of my story of my life. What happened to me after we sat down with the pastor and talked about it. I'm going more depth about what we talked about. But, you know, the videos only give you 10 minutes, so I got to cut it short. But, yeah, that's how that went, man. That's the second part. Stay tuned for part 3. First and foremost, I want to thank you all for tuning into my last few videos. And I appreciate you guys, all your heartfelt wishes. And, you know, I try to read all the comments, but it's so many, and I can't reply to everybody. I try to, but it just becoming so many at one time, and I just be trying to, you know, communicate with you all. And I appreciate, you know, you guys taking the time out of y'all lives to watch my video and watch my testimony. And I hope that we keep sharing it so it can reach the world, man, you know. And I appreciate you guys. So this is part 3 of how my mom stole my virginity. And I believe I'm going to leave it at this part 3 far as that aspect of my life. And I'm going to venture out to different other parts of my life, which I'm going to be talking about physical abuse by other people other than my mother. I'm going to be talking about dealing with losing a parent, death. Dealing with that. I'm going to be talking about fatherless child. So it's going to be a lot of things that I'm going to be talking about during my videos. And so I look forward to corresponding with you guys, and I hope you all continue to chime in and send y'all remarks, and good, bad, ugly. And, you know, I'm going to be getting into a lot of different things that's going to be touching on a lot of different aspects of life. So I hope you stay tuned. So the conclusion of how my mother stole my virginity. So I left off with the last video. If you don't know how we got here, look back at my last 2 videos to catch you up to speed, and come back to this video. So I left you guys off with us visiting the pastor, and, you know, he basically, you know, my mom told me to tell him what she did to me. I basically explained to her what was done. I mean, explained to him what she did, and he basically told her that it's not to happen again, and that honestly, I really don't think he knew what to say, because I don't think he expected to hear that, so I think he just said what came to his mind, but really wanted to let her know that it wasn't acceptable to be doing those type of things with her child. And it was left at that. She cried, I cried, he cried, and she basically asked me for forgiveness, but I don't, 13 years old, man, I don't basically know the full concept of what she's apologizing for, so until I got grown, and basically, life after that, from 13 to 16, it was nothing but fights. It was nothing but fights, y'all. We would be in there brawling. We would be in there brawling because I'm not, again, like I'm telling y'all, it's like I love my mom and I hated my mom at the same time, if that makes sense to you guys. I loved her and I hated her at the same time. I felt like that I always was searching for her love. I felt like I never received it. I felt like she made me her enemy. I felt like I was an enemy towards my mother. It was to the point where I thought my grandmother was my mom and my mother was my sister. That's how much it was no mother and son bond at all. So I despised her, and me fighting back when she was trying to discipline me was, I felt as though that was me protecting myself, I'm big now, you're not gonna be beating me, and we fought everywhere. We outside, in the house, in the car, we fought. And that's just how my life was, man, until my 17th birthday. No, my 16th birthday, I'm sorry. March 15th was my birthday, and she bought me these 2 outfits that I wanted for my birthday. And I think that was the nicest that my mom always kept me with good clothes on, so I'm not gonna bash her that way. She always kept me with the finer things in life, and she made sure I had good clothes, make sure I had that I looked it well, far as my outward appearance. But for my 16th birthday, she bought me these 2 outfits that I wanted for my birthday. That's all she got me, and I was happy with that. Fast forward to March the 17th, she get up, we get up because she's supposed to be painting the house. We get up to go to the hardware store to go paint the house, and that was March the 17th was the time that was the most that me and my mom ever got along. No arguments, no fights, and I was big, those of you all from Baltimore, about Dru Hill. And at this time, Dru Hill just came out with Dru World Order, and I wanted that CD so bad. So I was raised in the church, and they didn't believe that about listening to that worldly music is what they call it. They didn't believe in listening to all that. So, I was asking my mom, can I get the CD? And surprisingly, she said, yeah. She told me that, I thought it was a shock. I said, what? So, and it was on, anybody familiar with Baltimore, Pratt Street used to have Myrick Steakhouse. It used to have hardware store and a CD store, like where they sell records at. And so we go to the hardware store, purchase what she was going to purchase. I went over there to I said, Ma, can I go to the store to get the Dru Hill CD? And she kept telling me to wait. And I was like, Ma, I kept pestering her, kept asking her, come on, Ma, let me go. And she said, all right, Antoine, go ahead, be hard-headed. Go ahead and go. So I went over there, got the CD, came back. I got the CD for $5, y'all. And I was so happy about that $5 CD. Got the CD. When I said, Ma, I got the CD for $5. She said, what? I said, yeah. She said, that's good, Antoine. So we go get the stuff. She get her stuff to paint the apartment. And when I tell y'all, this is the most that me and my mother got along, like, it felt real good, y'all. And, in Baltimore, we got hacks. We call them Hack Man. So Hack Man pulled up. My mother said, Antoine, do you want to take this? You think we should get this one? And I was surprised because she never asked me about nothing. So I said, yeah, man, let's go in and get him. So we went, got in the hack, man. She was trying to call my grandmother. My grandmother wasn't picking up the phone. This is time when they had them little, I believe it was Ericsson or No Kids, some type of flip phone, little big old bulky phone. And she was trying to call where you put the minutes on. And my grandma wasn't answering, so we on our way home. My mother and the hack man was talking about God and Jesus and all that stuff. So we get on home, we go on. If you're familiar with Baltimore, Fayette Street and Calhoun Street. Fayette Street is a one-way. Calhoun Street crosses Fayette Street. So it was a big white box truck sitting there. And the hack man, you know, he's trying to get, you know, he went out to the one-way, went out through the one-way in the intersection. And it was a Jeep Grand Cherokee came flying and crashed into us. And all I heard was my mom saying, "Oh no." And she threw her hand up like this. She said, "Oh no." And when she said that, I looked and turned around and a Jeep hit us. And my mom died on impact. My mom was killed on impact. And the driver died on the way to the hospital. And I was woke doing all this. I was sitting in the back of my mom. I was crying, asking Jesus, "Please, Jesus, save my mother." I said, "God, please save my mother." She wasn't moving. I don't know if she was breathing because I was a kid. I don't know how to check for breath, but I know she wasn't moving. And I was tapping her, "Mom, wake up, mom, please." And, you know, I was asking God, I said, "Please, Lord, if you save my mother, I promise I won't be disrespectful. I won't, you know, be fighting on her. I promise I will respect her. Please save my mama." And, you know, that's how I wanted to end this, you know, to lead to the next video of how my life was, you know, during the death, you know, dealing with that and dealing with them, you know, my trauma all at the same time. So, you know, hope y'all stay tuned for my next chapters, my next videos outside of the molestation. I appreciate you guys for watching, and I hope to talk to you soon. Take care.